Hey everybody, it's Tim with GymCrafter.com, back at you with another video, and today I've got something that I've been working for the last few weeks and hopefully be very helpful to you. It's something that a lot of you have emailed me and requested, and it's something that I promised to get a while ago, but it's kind of turned into a bigger project than I thought. What I was originally going to do with this video was I was originally going to compare the knurling on the rep single black diamond with the double black diamond. Well, over the last few weeks, I've realized that we really need more comparison bars in there. So a comparison video that was going to compare 2 bars knurling is now a comparison video that compares 7 bars knurling. And I've also had over the last few weeks, I do train several clients here in my garage, and I do let them use the barbells that they like the best. And I've gotten feedback from all of them. And based on those folks' feedback and mine, I think we have a very clear winner as to which one of these is the best for your garage gym, based on your uses and based on the knurling and based on their feedback. So really excited to get this to you, so let's get this rolling. So as I mentioned, we're here today to compare knurling on barbells. But before we do that, I want to make sure a few of the terms that I'm going to use are clear. And it's basically what we call the knurling. So there's basically 3 types of knurling that you'll find on barbells. There's hilltop, there's mountaintop, and there's volcano. Basically, mountaintop is a pointy knurl with a sharp point at the top. Hilltop is if you went through and you took that sharp and you just whacked it all off as close to the bar as possible, and there's not a lot of grip. And it's really the opposite of that pointy mountaintop knurl. And then there's volcano knurl, where you take that mountaintop knurl, you scoop out the tip so that it's got a little round edge of sharpness on the top, but it's not the pointy pokey thing that hurts a lot of people's hands. So, and yes, pointy pokey thing is a technical barbell term. You can learn something every day, right? But anyway, so that's the terms we're going to be using today. And let's take a look at which bars we're going to be comparing so that you guys get an idea of what's in the mix. And then if you see one that you like, or you see a knurl that you've got experience with that you differ with my opinion or the folks that I'm training's opinion, please leave it in the comments below. I've really kind of taken a very deep dive into which of these is the best, and feedback from folks who use them has been the best source of information. Also, if your conclusion of which one works best for garage gyms is different than mine, also leave it in the comments so that everybody kind of gets some different opinions. And then lastly, wait till the end, because like I said, there was a very clear winner as far as the folks that I train and their preferences, and theirs matched mine. So we'll save that till the end so you kind of know which one we all preferred. But with that said, let's take a look at which bars we're going to be comparing today. So the 7 bars I have for you are, we've got the Rep Fitness Delta Basic Bar. We've got the Rep Fitness Single Black Diamond Cerakote Bar, and that finish is going to be very important to our discussion today. I have the stainless steel Power Bar, which is the bar that the Single Black Diamond replaced. A lot of you out there have these older Rep Power Bars, some of you on my recommendation, and you're wondering if it's worth upgrading. So I thought it was important to compare the feel of this bar versus the new one so you can see if it's worth your time to buy the new bar. The next one I have is the Double Black Diamond by Rep. And I have the older version of that, the Power Bar EX. So this one replaced this one. Down here on the bottom, I have the American Barbell Chewy Bar. And then back here in the corner, I have a Rogue Fitness Ohio Power Bar. It is a boneyard bar, but for the purpose of today's video, the knurl is the knurl. We don't need to point out all the stuff that's wrong with that bar and why it's a boneyard bar, but the knurl does serve its purposes for demonstrations. And then also to help, you're going to see some images. I pulled out the good camera for this one. So I do photography as a major hobby of mine outside of training in the gym. And I brought my 50 some odd megapixel Sony camera with the macro lens and all that kind of fun stuff. Had a good time, so hopefully the pictures that we're going to put up across this discussion are helpful and you can get a really good understanding of what the knurl on each of these bars is like. And that's really important because one of the drawbacks of buying this kind of stuff is, for the most part, you got to buy it online and there's no way to try it out. So I can't tell you how many times I bought a barbell, and this Power Bar EX from Rep a few years ago is one of them, where I watched the reviews on Garage Gym Reviews and Garage Gym Lab, and I read the review, and everybody raved about how great the knurling was. And then when I got it and I actually put it in my hands, I kind of disagreed with all of them. So I'm going to hopefully give you guys as much detail as possible so you can make a smart purchasing decision if you decide to buy one of these bars. So with all that mumbo jumbo out of the way, let's start taking a look at the knurl on these bars and how they stack up to each other and who each one might be better for. All right, we're gonna start right up top here with the Delta Basic Bar by Rep Fitness. This is the least aggressively knurled barbell that Rep makes. The terms that you'll hear for knurl are aggressive or passive. A lot of people call this a passively knurled bar. I wouldn't say that. Your hilltop knurls, which none of these bars have, I would call a passive knurl. Passive to me means no grip whatsoever. So your cheap Dick's Sporting Goods bars a lot of times have this. Some of Titan's older specialty bars have this. If you watch my video on the Titan multi-grip bar, that's got hilltop knurl on it. That's what I would call passive. This bar does have good grip. It's got the best knurling of really any bar that I've felt at this price point. My concern with this bar, as you can see in the picture on the screen, is that the bright chrome is a rather thick material to finish a bar. So you take the knurling and the volcano knurling on this bar and you lay over the top of what should cause grip and some sharper edges on the top, and you're kind of filling that all in. The volcano knurl, which is where they take the divot out, the hard chrome fills in the bottom of that divot. It rounds off the tops of that knurling. So it is the least aggressive knurling of all Rep's bars. This still has good grip to it, but I will tell you that you can feel, when you rub your hands over it, you can feel the lack of bite that bar has, specifically because of the finish. Also, something to point out, the knurl pattern on the Delta bar is different than the knurl pattern on the single black diamond bar. So even though these are both current bars, the spacing and the depth of the volcano cut is different on those two bars. So in addition to the finish causing some grip issues, I wouldn't call it issues, it's just you're gonna wanna make sure you have chalk. And, oh, by the way, I've been using this thing for a while. It's called a grit stick. I've got a review coming up. Probably the best way I've seen to do chalk in your gym without making a huge mess. So we're gonna talk about this at some point too. But you definitely are gonna wanna use chalk. With this bar, it will up the grip just a little bit. But again, for the price, you can buy an awful lot of chalk for the price difference between the Delta bar and the single black diamond bar. Moving on, let's take a look at the single black diamond bar versus their original stainless steel power bar. So the stainless steel power bar was GymCrafter's #1 rated barbell for several years. This bar is the bar that was my primary bar for that whole time. I've trained with this bar, like I said, several years. I love this bar. The only issue that I had, this knurl, it's not the grippiest. It's not very aggressive. They're spaced really close together, as you can see in the image. What they changed on the single black diamond, they changed the spacing, they changed the height, they changed the pitch, which is how steep everything is. They changed how big of a cutout the volcano is. As you can see by the side-by-side pictures, it's a completely different knurl. So if you have the older stainless steel power bar and grip or knurl was one of the issues that you had with it, or you'd like it to be more aggressive, this is a big change. I love the knurl on this bar. It's grippy enough to aid in heavy lifts, heavy deadlifts. It's not so sharp and cut up that it hurts your hands. For me, this is a really good sweet spot for most home gym owners. Now, the issue that I have with this, and again, I'll throw the close-up for this one back in, is just like the Delta bar, the Cerakote finish has dulled what could be a little bit more grippy bar. One of the folks that I train liked this bar so much, they bought the stainless steel version of it, and the stainless steel version is darn near perfect. The knurl is just a touch tackier. It just grabs your hand a little bit more, and it's the exact same knurl pattern. It just doesn't have the Cerakote on it. So if you're not married to the Cerakote finish, the stainless steel version of the single black diamond is a little bit grippier. It's not a huge difference, but it's a noticeable difference. So if you've used Cerakote bars before and you don't like the way that you can really feel how the edges of the knurl are rounded off and coated. You just can. When you put your hand on this and then you put your hand on a stainless steel bar, you can instantly feel that there's a finish on this bar. There's a coating on it. And some people hate that. Some people like it. Some people really like the black. I think it's cool. I don't know that it'll hold up for very long. We'll see. But I do like the knurl on this bar, even with the Cerakote. This is a solid, medium aggressive knurl that is appropriate for pretty much anybody who lifts. So I really like this one. And if you're wondering, is it worth changing from this to this? I would tell you that these have some good resale value. So if you want to list your old one on Facebook Marketplace and have somebody local buy it, that'll go a long way towards the new one. And the new one's definitely worth the upgrade, in my opinion, if you're unhappy with the knurl on the older version. So there's the comparison between that and that. Now I want to move on to the double black diamond bar. Now the double black diamond bar and the single black diamond bar are the exact same bar with the exception of the knurl. The knurl on the double black diamond bar is a very aggressive mountaintop knurl. The same as was on their Power Bar EX, and that's the older version of this. So they made this to replace this. Same deal with the single black diamond. It's a big change. So the old one was a little uncomfortable for me. The knurl points were a little too far apart, so I really think that caused some excess of pain especially when I deadlifted. I did not like using this bar really for anything, to be very honest. Once I got the standard power bar, I used this almost exclusively. The double black diamond has changed several things. They've changed the pitch of the knurl, so it's a different sharpness. They've changed how close together the points are. They call it TPI, or teeth per inch. And also, this is a Cerakote bar. So when I grip this, I can very distinctly feel each individual point of knurl digging into my hand. I can also feel that with this, but it's much more comfortable. So if you like the idea of a mountaintop knurl, but you don't like just how aggressive this one was, then this is a good suit for you. The Cerakote does take just the very tip off. They don't take the tip off, but it's hard to describe. If you were here to feel it, you can feel these aren't dull, but they're slightly dulled. And that's specifically due to the Cerakote. So if you like the idea of a very, very aggressive knurl, then get this in stainless steel. If you like the idea of the aggressive knurl, but like the old Power Bar EX was just a little bit too much for you, some comparisons if you might have used, this is a lot like the Rogue Ohio Power Bar. I think it's called an Agro edition. And it's also very similar to the Kabuki Power Bar. So if you're familiar with those bars, the old EX is very similar to those bars. And I really think that there's just been some smaller refinements to the double black diamond, which I think really make it a more comfortable bar to use. The next bar that I want to kind of compare things to is if you're looking for an aggressive knurl, I got to be honest, I'm not a fan. It's not that I'm not a fan. When I reach for a bar where I need an aggressive knurl, I don't reach for these. Same thing with the folks that I train. When I've got a couple of guys who are putting up some big numbers on deadlifts, and when they come into deadlift, they pick the American Barbell Chewy Bar every single time. Now, before I got this, they did like this bar. So the EX bar worked really well for them. But as soon as I got the Chewy Bar in the garage, this was an instant hit with the guys that I train that deadlift a lot. It's grippy. It's the grippiest bar on this wall by a lot, but it's not sharp. It's not painful. It's not uncomfortable to use. It's a different knurl than you'll see, as you see by the pictures on the screen. It's a different knurl than you'll find on really any other barbell. It is truly unique. Now, it's also the single most expensive barbell. It's probably costs what any two of these together cost. So if it's a budgetary issue, the double black diamond's a great way to go if you want aggressive knurl. But if you're looking for an aggressively knurled bar that's not going to tear up your hands and maybe not require you to use chalk, I'm not a big fan of using chalk if I don't have to. The American Barbell Chewy Bar is perfect. Now let's bring in one that a lot of you guys have asked me about. That's the Rogue Ohio Power Bar. Now I've mentioned this before. I am not a Rogue fan. I don't want to get into it. I've had some bad experiences with the company. I've had some bad experiences with their products. I know that's not everybody's experience, and I'm not a fan of bagging on other people. But if you've noticed in my videos, I have very little. I have some Rogue stuff, but I have very few Rogue items. And that's just because of my personal bias with the company. But I did buy a Rogue Ohio Power Bar out of the Boneyard because it seems to be the standard as far as what everybody recommends. It also seems to be the one that most people have or have experienced. So I figured it was important to include it in this comparison. So the Rogue Ohio Power Bar, which I have back here, if you look at the pictures, what you'll notice is it's a little bit more aggressive than the single black diamond, but it's not quite as aggressive as the double black diamond. I'm not a fan of the bar for other reasons. I think it has too much play in the sleeves. I'm not happy with the sounds that it makes when you drop. I know it's weird, but to me, when the bar rattles and you can hear it across the gym, I'm not a huge fan. But it is a well-built bar. A lot of people like it. And it is a touch less aggressive than this. Now, what I would tell you is that it is pretty much the same grippiness as the single black diamond in stainless steel. If I had to get rid of all these bars and buy one bar for my garage gym tomorrow, I wouldn't have to think about it. I would absolutely buy the single black diamond from Rep in stainless steel end to end. If I wanted to save a few bucks, I would buy it in the stainless steel shaft with the hard chrome sleeves. To me, that's the perfect knurl for an all-around home gym barbell for ordinary folks who train at home. Is that going to be perfect for your aggressive power lifters and the people trying to set 1RM PRs No, that's not the right bar for them. But for folks like us, it's great. It's really, really, really solid. I like the feel of the one with the Cerakote, but I just like the one that's stainless steel just a touch better. It just has a little bit more grip, a little bit more bite. It's a great bar. So that's what I would get if you were a big fan of the Ohio Power Bar. You're gonna get a better bar here all around. You're gonna get comparable knurling, and it's just gonna be a bar you're gonna love and you're gonna be able to keep it forever. And as I promised you at the beginning, I wanna kind of let you know what all of the folks that train here with me now thought. So when I bring folks in to train them, I've got some cool stuff in the works. They're all beta testing programming that I'm gonna roll out to you guys at some point in the next year. I allow them to pick whatever barbell they're most comfortable using. I don't want to force them to use a certain bar or not. And I can tell you that after a few weeks of being able to do that, every single person that I train in this garage prefers the single black diamond power bar, with one exception. And that's, like I said, those guys who are doing heavy deadlifts. When it's deadlift day, they reach for the Chewy Bar. But for everything else, overhead presses, bench presses, rows, anything you're doing with shrugs, high pulls, all that stuff, they like this. And here's why. If you buy an aggressively knurled bar as your only bar, that's great if all you do is bench, squat, and deadlift, because it's not going to tear up your hands that way. But if you're doing anything like snatches, high pulls, anything like that, if you're doing high rep stuff, if you're doing barbell curls for 15 reps or 20 reps or something like that, these aggressively knurl bars are not the right bar, in my opinion, to have as your only barbell. In my opinion, if you're buying just one bar for your home gym, it should be a medium aggressive volcano knurl bar like the single black diamond. All the folks I train agree. When I come in to train, I'm the same way. Every time I come in here, unless I'm making a point to use these bars for reviews, I reach for the single black diamond bar every single time, unless I'm deadlifting, and then I use the Chewy Bar. But for me, even bench presses and squats, I still use the single black diamond bar. I really think if you're gonna have one barbell, you need it to be able to do a lot of things and a hyper-aggressive barbell just isn't suited for a lot of things. It's suited for a very few amount of things. Now, if you were gonna have 2 barbells, and like I said, if I lost this whole gym today and I had to buy new things tomorrow and I decided, hey, I wanna have 2 barbells, then I would, again, no brainer. I would buy the single black diamond for most everything, and I would buy the Chewy Bar for deadlifts. I love deadlifts, so it's one of my favorite lifts. It's the lift that fixed my back for me. I just enjoy doing them, and that bar really makes them more enjoyable. So that's the 2 that I would buy. That's the ones that the people here that I train. Hopefully that was a good enough comparison of all the knurls. To be honest with you, this is the 5th or 6th version of this video, and all the first ones, when I had somebody else watch them and asked them, did this make sense? The answer was no. So hopefully I've been detailed enough and explained enough so that you have a good idea. But if you have any questions, or I wasn't detailed enough about something, or you have more questions on more comparisons or things like that, I've used more barbells than these. I'm happy to answer the questions if I can, so post them in the comments below. But there you have it. 7 different barbells compared. We've got the rep. This is the one that I get the most emails on, the single black diamond versus double black diamond. Now you've seen that. And yeah, so thanks for sitting with me while I ramble on about barbells again. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, so I appreciate you staying till the end. And until next time, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.